Hey guys, welcome to another session. We're going to do a training session for you, Kelly and I, and we're going to be working on chest today. So we're going to give you 3 basic exercises that are going to help develop your chest. Some of the key important things that we want to develop are your strength, your mobility to utilize weights, keeping in mind we do have some beginners and intermediates, those moving to the next level. Okay, and of course we're going to discuss things like how much weight you want to use and why and all those types of things. And something you were just talking about.
And we're going to talk a little bit about form and that mind-muscle connection.
Exactly, okay? So with that, let's get into it. Kelly will be starting us off. We like to start off with a warm-up, so that's what Kelly's going to do.
So we are using a Smith machine today. This machine helps you not to need a spot because it's going to spot for you, and it's got a locking mechanism just in case it gets away from you. I do like to start my ring fingers on the stripes of the bar and make sure my hands are even. You don't want one hand further out than the other. You want a nice frame from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder, make it about a 90-degree angle. All right, and we're going to bring it down just to the chest, push off. So you really want to focus on you're pressing something off of you or pushing something off of you. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor. And I usually like to start with about 15 reps for my warm-up. My warm-up weight is usually just a small portion of my lifting weight, just to get the muscles on. Yes.
Okay, high reps, low weight, and
Right.
you're looking to move blood into the muscle area.
Right, just and get those ligaments and tendons and joints all nice and warm before you actually start to do the heavier work.
Fabulous, okay. We'll put on a little bit more weight, and I'll do a warm-up set down. So again, good form, good bar placement. These rings that Kelly was talking about help you get that good bar placement. Everybody's body's a little different, the different width that you have in your shoulders and your chest and so forth. So your placement will be a little bit different. General rule of thumb, be comfortable, okay? Notice your form, notice your angles, okay? Don't be sloppy, but be comfortable. That comfort area is going to be a little different for everybody, but a general rule of thumb is where the rings are, okay? Get yourself positioned to where the bar is coming down above your neck, but not down to your nipples, okay? So in this immediate area is where we want to go. Reason being, if you take a look at my elbows, you'll see how they're off to the side. So my placement is good as far as my body structure, and this gives me a maximum amount of stretch. Why is stretch important? Stretch is important because you're able to lengthen your muscle part. When you lengthen your muscle part, you can recruit more muscle fiber, which means you get more activity. Whether it be for strength, speed, or size, whatever you're looking to accomplish, it helps all 3, okay? So I agree with Kelly. I generally like to do 10, 15 reps to get warmed up.
I like you notice that Tom actually has his feet on the bench and my feet are on the floor. So Tom, you want to talk about the difference in that one? Why you put his feet up on the bench and what the differences are there?
So I started back in the day with the guys at World's Gym, and I saw them doing that, and I asked them the same question, guys, why you have your feet up? And what it does is it takes your legs away from assisting your other body part, okay? So it makes the tension stay in that body part. Now, for those of you that are beginner or intermediate, it's not a big deal. Again, comfort, stabilization. If you're more stable, you feel more comfortable with your feet on the ground, by all means.
Right.
That's perfectly acceptable and perfectly good. I'm more advanced, okay? I learned from the beginning how to do it that way. And so it does put more pressure, more stretching, more all those things that you want on the body part. Is it necessary? No. It is an advanced stage. You want to probably, at some point in time, try it, work out to that way, and see if it works for you. But again, comfort, stabilization, more important, okay? So guys, one of the things you'll recognize today is that we're not working with our full out weights. We're trying to give you an idea of how to do the exercise correctly. Obviously, we're talking and answering questions in between and during our set, which again is not typical, but we're trying to give you as much information as we can.
We'll talk a little bit about the cadence of the press. So you'll want to usually take about a 1, 2, 3, 3 to 5 down, 1, 2, 3 to 5 up. Thinking about actually using the muscle groups to press this off of us instead of allowing the weights just to drop and just pushing up ballistic. You want to keep it in control. I'm going for about 10 to 12 reps here. And as you'll notice, I did bring my weights up.
Now, you said you do 10 to 12 reps. Now, this is what's called a working set.
Right.
We did our warm-up sets. Now we're into the working sets.
Right.
So the working set, why do you do 10 to 12 repetitions? Why do you feel that's important?
Because I raise my weights, basically. So I would do less reps unless those weights were still light enough for me that I might do 15. But basically, the heavier the weight, the more stress you're putting on the muscle, so therefore the more growth you're going to get from that.
Okay, so 10 to 12 reps is a good rep range in order to recruit the muscle fibers.
Right.
It's not too little that you don't get all
Right.
those muscle fibers recruited, but it's not too much that you're getting everything fatigued to where you can continue to work
Correct.
out and so forth.
And you can stay in control of the weight is the other thing. It's very important.
Cool, excellent, 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 good pointers. So again, guys, that's important, okay? We're looking to fatigue the muscle, but keep in mind, particularly with the chest, it's a big body part. You have limiting factors. Your arms will tire out before your chest will.
Right, exactly.
So, you really have to be careful what you're doing and think of it in a methodic manner, okay? So this chest exercise that we're showing you is the basics, and this is going to help you develop the initial strength, the initial balance, the initial control, all those different types of things that are going to help you get to the next level. Now, I will tell you that when I was training with, the Mr. Olympias and Mr. Americas and Mr. Universes, they all did these. So this is a definite standard in your routine, okay? This is not something that, we're just showing you because perhaps you might be beginner or intermediate, but these are the exercises that you'll do throughout your entire fitness journey, okay? If you have better form, you got to keep the stress more on the muscle area, okay? Therefore, you're fatiguing that muscle area. Like Kelly was saying, you're using also your triceps, you're using also your delts, both smaller muscle groups, both that will fatigue quicker than your chest area will. So keep those kinds of things in mind. How do you feel with the level of importance, say, for example, weight versus form?
I believe form is most important because if you do not have the form, then you're not lifting the weight correctly, therefore you're not going to get the results that you're aiming for, plus you're risking injury.
Absolutely. Guys, I've been very fortunate to train over 40 years and never be injured.
Yeah.
But I had a woman in the gym one time call me a machine. She said, "You're a workout machine." What she meant was my form was so meticulous that it looked like a machine. The better your form is, the safer you're going to be. The more muscle fiber you're going to recruit, the better your growth is going to be. Okay, so it's just all around best practice. Okay, we're going to do another working set here. Keeping your back flat. Now, I did some powerlifting back in the day and competed in powerlifting competitions, and it's typical that you'll arch your back on benches so that you can get more weight.
Lift, yeah.
Okay. However, what we're talking about here is actual recruitment of muscle fiber, actual total fitness, and those type of things. So therefore, you feel that's more important?
I feel that's more important. And honestly, I have a little bit of low back issue. So I like to make sure I'm keeping my low back pressed and not arching so I don't have any aggravation. I've also seen people twisting their torso while they're doing bench press. They're usually doing too much weight. But you want to make sure to try and keep yourself in form the whole time and not add injury. Also, when you put your feet up on the bench, if you have low back issues, I have found that sometimes that helps.
Help it or make it worse?
Helps it. Because you can press through those feet a little bit and keep the low back pressed into the bench.
Now, it's starting to get warm, so.
How many sets are we going for today?
We're just going to do 3. Again, this is not a full-out workout. We're just giving everybody the basics and give you a basic workout. So this could be your full-out workout, okay? The one thing that I would suggest is taking less time in between sets. We're being instructional here, so we're taking more time so that we can instruct you on the wheres and whatnots of what to do. However, generally, how much time would you say is pretty optimal with regards in between sets?
So again, that would kind of depend on what we're aiming for. And if you're doing more of a heavier lifting day, I would say 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. I usually like to make sure people's heart rate has recovered completely and they don't still feel that burn within the muscle group. It's just a good cue what I use for people.
Yeah. So 1 minute to 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes is a good time period. One of the things that you're not noticing because I'm behind the camera when I'm doing it in between sets is I do a lot of stretching. Okay, I'll do, for example, for the chest, I keep moving my chest area. It does a couple of things. It keeps the blood in the area. So keep in mind, your nutrition for your muscle comes from your blood. Okay, so all that nutrition that's in your blood is in your muscle area, which is helping to feed it, both for energy and recuperation. Okay, and that's very important. Recuperation is as important as having energy to work out, right?
That's right. So if you haven't recovered, you won't be able to lift again. You won't get through all your sets.
Exactly.
Period.
And the other thing is, once again, I mentioned it earlier, the more that you stretch what's called the fascia of the muscle, okay, the longer it becomes. Everybody has certain genetics. Your muscle is going to have a predisposed way to be. You know, some of those guys have those huge peaks, and then some guys have more like me, which is a little bit more elongated, okay? That's genetic. However, you'll notice how the muscle moves, okay? You can lengthen your genetics to your maximum capability by stretching, okay? So you do the same thing with your chest.
And how many reps are you going for?
I'm doing 10 to 12 reps again. I agree with you on the rep range. I think that recruits the muscle fiber, gets the blood in there, it does the trick, but yet it's not too much or too little.
Yeah.
Now, when I was powerlifting, you do a lot of 6 rep sets,
Right.
but you're training specifically for weight, the amount of weight that you can use. Here, we're training for overall fitness.
Right. So another thing that people ask often is how are you supposed to breathe whenever you're lifting weights? Typically, you're supposed to exhale on the exertion or whenever you're pushing on the weight, pulling on the weight. So the exertion will be compressed up, inhale, pull in. Don't really get too hung up on that. Just make sure you keep breathing. That's very important. If you want to try and hold the breath. If you hold the breath, that's also going to slow you down and being able to improve your rep range.
Good. And something that you had mentioned earlier about that mind-muscle connection. So one of the things that you may not be noticing that both Kelly and I are doing is we're really focusing on the muscle area. So for example, when I'm coming down, I'm thinking about how the muscle is shaped. And I'm trying to make sure that my arm position stays in a fashion to lengthen that and to maximize that, okay? Then when I'm pushing back up, I'm literally And you can see kind of how I'm doing it here. I'm tensing the muscle.
Right, exactly.
Now, that's important, particularly for folks that are just beginning and intermediate, because it's an advanced level. I was fortunate to learn it immediately out in California, but I was training with pros. Guys here sometimes take 10 years before they learn that.
Right.
How the importance of that mind-muscle connection really is. Extremely important.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to set up for the next exercise and take you to it. Okay, guys, so what are we doing now?
So we're doing flat bench dumbbell flies. So I like to start overhead, slowly open, and then pull back, almost touching. So bring them back together. So you want to open, soft elbows, but stay in control of the dumbbells, and then back over, just over the nose. And this time I'm going for 12, so this will be 3.
So if I was spotting with a workout partner, like I am today with Kelly, the proper technique for spotting for this, you cut the elbows, okay? Typically they don't need help on the way down. And she doesn't need any help at all with these right now. However, that's the correct spotting technique. You'll notice her inner part of her chest, how it's working there.
Okay, and that is my 12.
Yeah, cool. One thing I do, Kelly, a little different, and I must admit, again, I learned this out in California. And particularly with guys, it's a little harder to develop. Women aren't as interested in it because, well, they've got the breast tissue there.
Yeah.
But a little technique that I learned out there is to rotate in like this, which is going to get that bottom part of the pec.
Right. I agree.
And the other thing is you try and, once again, come back. A lot of guys have the habit of coming forward like that. That's incorrect. You want to come back. Again, you're stretching that muscle.
Now, one thing you should notice for both of us, what we are doing here is we're making sure that those shoulders are staying nice and stable and in control. As you notice, Tom is not allowing his shoulder to move outside of this one range of motion. He's staying in control of those weights. So what does that mean? You don't want your shoulders to drop out too far, to come too far overhead, to begin to get wobbly. If all that begins to happen, it's most likely that your weights are too heavy.
Okay, bring them down like so.
That's also what he's doing there, is he's allowing that weight to help him get up off the bench. And I do the same thing as well.
Hey,
So there is a technique to that, to getting off the dumbbells. And to getting on.
Okay, so with the bench press, we're working on basic strength, size, stability. Now we're working on some shape to the chest area. Okay, and this is the area that's going to help lengthen and so forth to give you that nice shape of the chest.
So mine I usually do a little similar to yours, but not quite. So I do the twist at the very top like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that also underneath the chest. I also feel that makes the split of the chest, is what I call it, a little bit more pronounced.
Yep. Now again, notice how she's coming back with it. Okay, she's not just going down parallel. And that coming back like that, and I'm going to ask you to hold the bottom portion of the movement for a moment, develops this area here, okay? And that's what you're looking to do. Okay, again, that's the length on the side. It's going to help give you that nice full chest. And it's one of those techniques that a lot of people don't do, they forget about or just don't know, don't have that information, whatever.
And ladies, this is what helps keeps the girls perky.
There you go. From a professional. Now, Kelly, you did do fitness competitions and bikini competitions, correct?
I did figure and and fitness, and bikini. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and how this exercise might help with that.
So again, what this helps with is the chest development. I believe it helps with the split here down the middle of the chest. So when you're in bikini and figure, they do look for that development, especially to have that highlighted right there in your swimsuit. Also, like I said before, it is what helps keep girls perky. So that is always a benefit.
Like perky.
Yeah. And again, I want you to notice Tom's breath. So he is exhaling as he's exerting his energy, bringing the dumbbells, pressing them up, and inhaling on the way down. So we're doing 3 sets here. So this will be my
We'll do
last
3
one.
sets. Yep. So generally, 3 or 4 sets is a good set range for your exercise regimen, where you get enough exercise in, enough work in the muscle group to actually accomplish something, get some growth, get some strength, whatever your goals are. And generally 3-4 sets is a good range to do that.
I do want to touch on, as I've seen this before, and just people throwing the dumbbell down to the outside of themselves. That's a really good way to cause an elbow injury. So you do want to bring it.
Put them out like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you do want to bring it into you. If you drop it off, let me just show that real quick. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. So again, this is
So,
the.
If you can't get up with them, set it down gently with your palm facing in towards you. You don't want to drop the arm out that way. You could seriously injure your elbow that way and your shoulder.
I was gonna say, I do when I'm, so I work out in a bodybuilding gym, and there are a bunch of hardcore guys there. So sometimes we'll get into the 70-pounders and whatnot, and I'll bring them down to the floor. Yeah, because by the time I get done with some assisted reps, I can't get anywhere with them.
Right. Some of that might, sounds like common sense, but people do get injured in the gym, so it's always important to watch what you are doing with your weights.
If you're injured, you can't work out. If you can't work out, you can't progress. And it's more about daily progression on a long term than a single day or single week.
So again, in this exercise, your front delts as well as your triceps are assisting. And notice as he's bringing that down, he's also getting that stretch across the chest you talked about before in the bench press. And then you can see as he's pressing up, the pectoral muscle is flexing, and that is actually what's doing the work of the exercise of pressing those weights off.
Okay. Cool. Set up for next one. Okay. Now we're going to hit some inclines, and this is going to hit the upper part of the chest. Okay. And Kelly, you want to show us how it's done?
Alrighty. So we're going to start out here again from that wrist to the elbow to the shoulder, about a 90-degree angle. Bring it up almost all the way together, and then back down, just past that 90-degree angle. Again, pressing up, and I'm going for 10 to 12.
Again, if you're spotting, guys, correct technique is just like the fly. Underneath, cup the elbows. Okay. You'll notice this area here that is hitting. Okay, that's the area we're looking for, all across the top of the chest. One thing we do want to touch on is the importance of hydration. Kelly and I are both drinking our, I have a mixture of orange juice and water. I think Kelly has vitamin water. We do it in between our sets, so you're not seeing it off camera, but very, very important hydration. Keep in mind, your muscle is 72% essentially water. Okay, so it's comprised highly of water. That does a few things for you. Number one, you want to be able to carry the nutrition in the blood throughout the muscle, okay, through the capillaries and so forth, the vascular area. The other thing is too, it helps volumize. So when guys get that pump, for example, bodybuilders and even women too,
Yeah.
you notice that when you get that pump, that's because your blood and so forth is going into that muscle area,
Right.
which helps volumize it, okay? And that's important because, again, you're looking for the nutrition component of it. The volumizing of it feels good, and it's that pump everybody talks about and so forth, which is cool. In fact, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger likened it to sex.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's a good feeling, and you see and you feel everything working, but the important part of that is the nutrition component.
Also, it's important to remember every time that you're speaking or exhaling or blowing out anything, we're also expelling our hydration. We're getting rid of the body's water. It's very important to remember to always keep that replenished.
Absolutely. Okay.
Alright, so again, we're working here on the upper part of the chest. And you can see Tom's keeping that nice angle, dropping the shoulders down just a little bit past that 90-degree angle from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder. And again, pressing with the chest to move it back up and just before the dumbbells touch. This is also going to work a good bit on the front delts as well as the triceps.
Yeah, speaking of the front delt area like you just did, that's generally a good workout to do with the chest, your delts with your chest. It's a pretty good natural. You've got all that blood in that same area. You've pre-exercised your delts when you do your chest area, so they're nice and warmed up. They've got blood in there, they're ready to go. Less injury prevention and so forth. Do you find that to be pretty well true?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
Especially for the shoulders, they have the tendency to, they can get injured a little easier.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with small muscle groups of people, you have more propensity to be able to injure them easier. Particularly when you're newer or beginners, but even a lot of advanced guys have that problem. You gotta be careful.
So again, I am making sure I'm keeping my shoulders nice and stable and keeping them in the same range of motion.
And again, if I may, look at this area here that's working. That's what we're doing, okay? You want to hit that area, and that's going to do a few things. Number one, it's going to give you that shelf, okay, to the chest, you know, which is important to a lot of guys. Guys are always talking about that, you know, that chest, that's that shelf area, okay? That's this exercise, that's what this does. But Kelly, maybe you could explain why it's important to the women.
Well, mostly it's giving us better shape to the upper portion of the chest. So as we age, you will notice in women as we age that the skin here gets a little thinner in here. Well, the only way you're going to get tone in this area is to actually work the chest. And this exercise in particular is going to keep this portion of your chest nice and taut. And it is the muscle that's going to hold up the skin, basically.
Yeah, so keep in mind, guys, this channel is going to keep it real,
Yeah.
okay? We're going to give you all these tips and tricks and different things that we've learned over decades of exercise and research and study and nutrition.
Right.
And these are some tips. And in this particular case for the women, I mean, you have a fitness and bikini competitor here that she's giving you these different tips. Now, you don't have to be a bikini competitor to get that to work for you, right?
Right, absolutely. Not everybody wants to be a bikini competitor, but everybody likes to look good in their clothes.
Exactly. So that's definitely going to help you guys and help you women and help us all. So it's a good tip, good tip. This is my last one, right? So again, guys, one of the things that's hard to discern when somebody's doing it is the fact that I'm trying to keep my muscle tensed, that mind-muscle connection that we keep talking about. Okay? So as I do this, I'm literally making the muscle as I push the weight up. Okay? That's going to give me faster results. And that's really what it's all about. We're not looking to do powerlifting here. Okay, if we were, we would be less concerned with the rep range, more concerned with the weight. What we are concerned with is developing the musculature, the shape, and the composition. Anything you want to add to that?
2 or 3? I think that's 2, isn't it? Want to have one more?
Could.
That's what else happens when you work out. All the blood runs to the muscles and leaves your
There you
brain.
So we got one more.
I think something else that's important to talk about is how do you decide what amount of weight should you use before you lay down here and get into business. I usually start people, ladies, somewhere between 8 and 10 pounds in each hand. I am a little seasoned, so mine are a little heavier. I like to make sure people can stabilize their shoulders and learn to press from their chest before I start to raise their weight. And I usually keep people at the same weights for about 3 weeks, and then we move up.
So that moving up is what's called progressive training. Eventually you get to a point where you simply can't go any higher. Your body has limitations. For example, if I'm doing a heavy bench day, I'll go up to 405 pounds. At this stage, never going to get up to 500 pounds. It's not going to happen. My genetics aren't there, and I'm not training specifically for weight. Okay? So you're going to have some genetic limitations there. You're going to have some limitations to the body, but the whole idea is to continue that progressive overload. That progressive overload is going to allow your body to keep advancing. Okay? All these little tips and tricks and techniques that we're discussing, that we're going through here, guys, believe me, I was fortunate in that early in my bodybuilding career, I got to work out with professionals. But it's amazing how many guys in the gym still come up to me and ask me questions. These are guys that I see in there for years and years and years. And they don't know some of these basic things, these basic techniques. We're giving them to you up front, okay? Utilize them, incorporate them into your exercises, and you'll advance faster. And let's face it, when you see faster advancement, what's it do?
Makes you want to do more. Keep progressing.
Motivator, isn't it? Great motivator. And it doesn't matter what age you are, you can progress at any age. So if you're 60 years old and you're just starting, that's okay. You got a ways to go, guys, girls.
Yeah, just starting there's no shame in just starting. The best thing to do is to do it. And so also, when I was talking about weight, how do you know which weight you should use? As far as the heaviness goes, whenever I start to get to the end of my rep range, the last 2 to 3, they should be fairly challenging for me without losing control. So in other words, they're the ones that I'm really having to press to get it up there. Muscles should be on fire by now.
Yeah, and again, that's part of that progressive overload. So if you continue to move the weight up in a systemized manner,
Right.
like Kelly said, not to the point to where you're getting 3 reps and can't do anymore, but you feel great about the weight, well, unless you're a power lifter, that doesn't matter. We're looking for health. We're looking for, let's be honest, we're looking for cosmetics here too, right? Aren't we?
Right.
I mean, when you compete as a bikini and fitness competitor,
Yeah.
what are they looking at?
Well, as a figure competitor, they were looking for balance and symmetry and development and specific muscle groups. Yeah.
Okay, so the body composition. Same thing with bodybuilding. When you're up there, you know, they're scrutinizing every body part and they're looking at your total body composition as a whole and so forth. But isn't that the part that you generally notice walking down the beach?
Right. Exactly.
So if that's important to you, then these tips and tricks will help you quite a bit in that regard. Again, if you're looking to do powerlifting, that's a different style of training, and we may do a video later about that. As I said, I did some powerlifting and competing powerlifting some years ago. I stopped competing in powerlifting when I was 40. I was fortunate I went out on a bang, went out on a win. But that really is a different style of training, and it really does not affect the body composition as much.
The sculpture of the body.
Exactly. So when we talk about body composition, we talk a lot about recomping. And in our coaching business, that's one of the things that we really help folks do. So recomposition, recomp is what we call it here in the industry, is very important, because a lot of folks are coming in, maybe they're heavy, they're overweight, or maybe they have no body shape or very little body shape, no contour from the back and shoulder area to the waist, whatever the case might be. We help recomposition, recomp the body, okay, to give it that pleasing aesthetic look. And half of it is really about that at some point in time. Everybody's in the gym. True, you want to get stronger, you want to get fitter, you want to get healthier. But let's face it, if you didn't look any better, it wouldn't be nearly as fun, would it?
Well, I can give you an example of that for myself. So whenever I started in figure competition, I was very small up in the upper portion of my body, but I had wide hips. So I had to actually build up the shoulders so that they would match my hips, because my hips were so much
Body
wider.
contour.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So guys and girls, tips for both of you: you'll look better, you'll feel better, strength, all those types of things, be healthier in general. So again, if you have questions or want to know specific things, email us. Okay, we're happy to answer them. If you want to hire a coach and have additional, more advanced help to reach your goals faster, contact us there as well. Our email is fitcoaching59@gmail.com. That's fitcoaching59@gmail.com. Hit us up with an email. You've got both sides covered here, from the sex and gender aspect of it. You've got male and female coverage here. We work as a team, so we can answer any questions you have, whether you're female, whether you're male. Circle, dot, whatever you might want to be. We think we can help you with that.
Okay.
Anything you want to add to that, Kel?
Stay fit and be healthy, and if you need us, we're here.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, that's the end of this video for chest training 101, basic chest training, and hope you enjoyed it and put some of this stuff into practice. If you like it, please hit that bell. It helps us with regards to YouTube, so that we can continue to bring you free content like this. Thanks, guys.